Guess we can hear that.
I think everybody knows.
You good, Mike?
I'm good, are you? You hear me okay?
Yep. Okay, I turned it on a little bit. Okay. I would like to call to order the Village of Lansing Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, May 28th, order at 7:03 PM. If you do have a cell phone, please make sure that it's muted. I forgot to say that, and then everyone's phone rings again. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We don't have those minutes yet, right, Mike? Those aren't prepared?
Yes, I was lazy.
Okay. Oh, I will mention, we do have a full board. Jim is online tonight, though, but he is a voting member tonight, so. Next item on the agenda is the public comment period. This is an opportunity for anyone to bring up something that's not already on the agenda for this evening.
I'm Carla Marso. I'm here as an observer for the community party.
Hey, Carla.
And Susan Ainsley here, the Board of Trustee liaison to the Planning Board.
Hey, Susan.
Hey, Mike.
Hearing no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
Move that we close the public comment period.
Motion by Lisa.
Second.
Second by Lorraine, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for the revocation of special permit number 2021-4516. As per Village Code, section 14559D11, the Village of Lansing Planning Board will hold a public hearing to discuss the revocation of the Lansing Meadow special permit number 2021-4516. So, we have to vote to open the public hearing, or just open the public hearing?
Move to open.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Motion by Pat.
Second.
Second by Lisa, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And Lisa. Okay, Mike, did you want to kick us off?
I really don't have much. I think, for the record, I did send out the mailings for the public hearing. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot. Whether Eric has something to say or whether you folks want to ask questions, it's up to you.
Hey, Eric, anything that you wanted to bring up? Yeah, I was gonna say, it's probably better if you come up, you don't have to sit, but you can come, oh, that's right, you can't sit right now, never mind.
Yeah, just following up from before, we've had a number of different things. One was, the lateral that John had brought up. I don't know if you want to go through what you guys.
Yeah, let's just lay some groundwork for the public hearing. So, as we all know from the last meeting, we brought this public hearing to revoke the special permit because Eric failed to meet the deadlines of May 1st, 2024, which conditioned his one-year extension that was requested back in November. So those items, and then we can kind of address the defaults on them, were all items needed for John Courtney, including but not limited to moving of the sewer line, fixing the manhole, and repairing the sidewalk. The sewer and sidewalk easement shall be improved by council for the village and the applicant. Finish the phase 1 tree planting. If those three conditions were timely met, the temporary COCs for buildings 2, 20, 26, and 32 would be extended for the first deadline date of the proposed one-year extension of phase 2, which was July 30th, 2024. So since these were conditions of the one-year extension and those were not met, that extension is no longer available to you, and you have failed to meet those conditions. So let's start with the items needed for John Courtney, and John and Dondi are here. As to first the sewer line, which, can we pull up, Mike, a map, the latest map of the line that we're talking about? Mike Scott?
Yep.
Can you, oh, okay.
He's working on it right now.
Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah, is this what John sent to the board?
That he-
Yes.
Looks like it, okay.
That he had trouble printing.
I've got a couple other ones. I've got one that's a red line.
Let's start with this one. Okay, Eric, you had previously mentioned something about this being a lateral and not a main.
Right.
Oh, because this is the first that we're hearing of that.
So we met We talked to John quite a bit since, last fall about this, because the area down here, I think it's like 10 or 12 feet deep. It goes under the existing stormwater retention pond and everything else, and we have to get a trench box. So we talked about John about maybe moving this over, lateralizing in or cutting it, and John didn't want that to happen. But what John is looking for is a 10-foot easement on the side of that so the village can get there and maintain it. And so we tried a number of different ways. They didn't want to split it, they want to put cleanouts. So we finally asked our guys to move it, and they said, we can't get under here, we're gonna take an entire structure, which is a performing, basin, and we've got to rip all that apart. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So we went back to John and said, look, this is a private lateral, it's not a main, it's not something that most municipalities want to take dedicated.
That is BJ's lateral,
It's a BJ's lateral.
which is running onto your property.
That's correct. So it's a lateral, and the laterals, again, you don't need, if they come for, you don't need a 10-foot easement to maintain it. I know it's nice to have, but you don't need it. And it's a private lateral, it wouldn't fall under that.
But BJ's now does not have an easement over your property for their lateral.
I don't think they do now, no.
And it connects to a main.
Well, it connects to a main down here. So we did a private lateral. This is for the one gas station attendant. There's a bathroom in the gas station attendant building. That's the only thing that services. So it's a private lateral. We're just saying it's a private lateral. The village, I don't know why you want to take dedication of all the other laterals. I mean, the owner has to maintain those. The person who has the lateral maintains it. So,
And that's a manhole at the connection.
yeah, that's a manhole connection.
John?
If those of you who don't know me, I know there's a couple new faces. My name's John Corrigan, I'm Superintendent of Public Works, been there for 19 years. Under the original PDA, BJ's was, the subdivision line was right here at this axis, went due north, and then it diced up in here. So when BJ's come through, they put a gas station kiosk here into the old village line that used to come from this manhole here all the way up to the east end of his project. And this was a village line, and it come right down through these houses. So he had to, Eric, on this part of the PDA, had to relocate the sewer to accommodate the housing that the line went through, or the proposed housing. So there was an original manhole right here that the gas station kiosk tied right into. And I have a set of plans where anyway, it ties right into the original manhole right here. Here's the original property pin. And here's the manhole, the sanitary line come right down through here. This is a 2010 map of BJ's. It come directly into this manhole, which they knew was in their proposed housing. So they had to relocate the sewer, and doing so, they had to run a main up here and put a manhole in to intercept this line. So when they sold this property, I'm not an attorney, but I figured they probably had some rights to have that line across the property. And now he would need to obtain an easement between corporate BJ's and the PDA. Because this manhole is near the foundation of this proposed housing, and the offset easement doesn't even allow the village to maintain this manhole. So this is a village main. I was reading the engineer's report, and it talks about the sewer line being relocated. It doesn't specify any manhole numbers, but this was all intention to be a village manhole in line. Because if it wasn't, anybody that had a private lateral wouldn't drop $5,000 into this manhole. They would just have a Y connection with a clean out facing the other direction, as a typical lateral would have. So this had every intention. And what had happened was the contractor had the offset wrong and mismarked the location for his dig, and he put the manhole in the wrong location. So it was every intention for that village. The village they don't typically do private laterals on other properties unless it's subdivided at a later date. And then it was a problem. They would have an agreement between the two property owners at that point. It's not.
Just so I'm clear, so what that means is that basically from that manhole to the gas station, that is a lateral, and then all of this that does this L shape that meets out at Oak Crest, that's a village main. Okay,
Well, just so, the village main, so the main ran through here, and we relocated the main to run down the street and over, and now the main comes over here. This carries all the sewer from everything up there, all the village. This is a ladder we put in, and this ladder was also, I believe, put in too, John. I think we put all that in. There's a private lateral to carry this and that. It's all new. I think it's a 6-inch line.
Right, but-
Just that carries it.
but the join is right there.
Well, so we put
Right.
that in, and then it connects to the sewer main. The sewer main is right here, which continues this way. So the sewer main now comes through here, over here, down here, and out there.
And no, the sewer main, according to what you just said, the sewer main comes down, turns here,
No, no, no,
terminates at
no.
that spot, right?
No.
And then, no, I'm asking John.
It actually flows the other direction, but.
So, right, so is this the point where we where we differentiate between the village main and the lateral, or is this the point?
That up there to your right.
First point.
So
Private.
this right here is the point where we differentiate from village to,
That is correct. This is the village line, and that's why the easements were laid out, and it was all fine to convey to the village until we told him, he had several, probably about 9-10 months ago, we kept sending emails to him, you gotta relocate this, it doesn't even fit in the current easement. This was the original easement that he was gonna convey to the village. And now that it doesn't fit in there, and he wants it to be private. And the reason why I told him he couldn't put another manhole in here is because manholes are point of entries for I&I, infiltration and inflow. So the more point of entries you have for I&I, this is all wetland up through here. If you remember, there's actually a subdivision line up through here, and it comes around. This was the original wetland, and it does not show that in this map, but if Mike was to flip to the other map, it shows the original easements that I think you have, that one right there with the red lines on it. It shows the original subdivision line in through that.
Could I ask, so let's say that, that's one of the buildings that's not there yet, right?
That is correct. These are,
What if that building doesn't get built?
then he just moves the easement over like that and conveys it to the village. It's pretty simple.
And
Okay,
if you don't convey it to village, you need an easement from BJ's.
Well, I do, yeah, but that's just, it's a private lateral for one
But
toilet.
you would need an easement from BJ's. Right now, that's an illegal, if that's a private lateral,
I think BJ's would need an easement from us, but
yeah, but you need to get an agreement with BJ's about that.
it'd be in their best interest to have an agreement with us. And that just carries it, it's a single line. I think it's a 4 or 6-inch line, very small. It comes down, it goes right back to where John is now.
If you was to draw a straight line from this manhole, this manhole, that was the original village sewer line, and we had a 10-foot easement centered on that main.
everything changed.
So this property pin, there's a property pin right in here somewhere, and this went up, and that was the original subdivision. There was 2 lots at this point here. That was the original PDA.
We were talking about that easement.
But, so this was conveyed to this property owner at this time, so they had the rights to keep their sewer there under that subdivision. And that's why that exists with no easement or no easement.
Yeah, once the,
But this had, you can see the lines that are intended to be conveyed to the village as an easement, not conveyed as dedicated right of way, but it's just an easement down through this property here, it's centered on the main. This is the property line right here, is why it's not centered on the main there, but we have a little extra room on this, it's still a 20-foot easement.
so that horizontal that connected to the, if you drew the straight line that connects, that was where the village main was.
From this main
Yeah.
to this up here, wherever it was on the other map, was the original sewer line.
Yeah.
And he had to relocate it because it conflicted with these properties.
So why would that now not be a main, Eric?
Because it only.
If it was a main and you just moved the center
No,
portion?
we put it, this is a line, we put it.
right, but no, the question is this, we're not contesting that there's a lateral that
Right.
goes from the gas house directly to the main. And it's only that portion that, if we're looking at the thing on the screen right now, it goes from the gas station attendant's line, and it goes due north, or north-ish,
Right to
right to
here.
that spot.
Right.
And that's where the lateral ends, and that's where it joins the village main.
No, that's not the village, the village
Okay.
was taken out.
This is, quite honestly, the first time this argument has come forward from you, when this map with the easements and dedication has been around for a very long time. We've always been operating that this is a main that the village is gonna take an easement to. And this is the sewer that needs to be corrected. Now, if it could be more easily corrected by the building footprint moved, that probably behooves you more than moving the sewer line. But I think that this is an agreed-upon drawing map that's been worked over, and, I mean, this is dated 2021.
No, this is the one we've talked about all this
Yeah.
time. So I went back to my engineers, they said, Eric, this is a line you guys put in from here to here. And John was right, they missed that by like 5 feet or something, the wrong area, okay? But it's a line we put in, it's not, this is not the old village main. Village main, John was right, did come through here, all the way down to here. We put this in, we put that in, and that only services this. A main is what carries sewer from, you tie into. Nothing else ties into this except this, that's all there is. So this is a lateral that goes from here, the lateral continues down, and then connects into the sewer main right there. So this, you know, in talking to this, Eric, why would you give an easement to a lateral? The village doesn't do any of the laterals anywhere else in the village or on our property.
Well, clearly, we have a disagreement over whether it's a main or a lateral.
Right.
Well, so a main, if it only carries, if it goes from the individual building to where it ties into the sewer, it goes from here to here, that's where.
Very much an argument that the northern line is a lateral, and then it ties into the sewer main. You were making it a northwest direction, and to tie into the.
Well, we put the lateral in.
You could then argue that it hooks into Oak Crest, and that's a lateral.
Say that this is all lateral
Yeah.
until this point.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well,
This is all village.
this carries, there's no other sewer that goes through.
Right.
listen to what
Would you
Mila
could
said.
have
Watch
one
your
person
finger.
talking at a time, please?
So at the corner, so at the, basically at the manhole, the entrance to the development, that is the point at which this sewer from the gas station, that is where it has to be.
No,
It only, yeah, it only, what about
So
this?
this flows this way, and this brings all the
And then all
sewer.
this over here, and then
So
it all
the
flows
sewer
here,
comes across from here, goes this way, here, and out.
and come up here.
Yeah, so this is all like, look, this is downhill.
So you're defining that as a lateral, but the village is not defining that as a lateral, it's defining the main.
You know, it only, and all the, like, these are all laterals here from the individual surface where it ties in to where the village takes over.
But that's exactly what.
John has a
that is.
comment. John.
Yeah, so John.
So the original, there was a manhole right here, there's a manhole right here. This, the sewer originally comes down Oak Crest, comes down across here and come to this manhole. This line come to this, there was an additional manhole here, but it was shifted up a little bit. So there was a manhole here.
I think that was taken out, wasn't it, when it came across?
So let me finish real quick, I'll be real quick. So there was several manholes up through here, but the straight line come down through. Oak Crest come down and it come down across here. He relocated this, intercepted it here, put another manhole here and moved everything down, so this was clear of any sewer. And he crossed, he cleared this so there was no crossings here. So this was an intersecting manhole with the flow coming down Oak Crest. And it turned this way, and went out to the corridor behind the mall.
Right, so it did come across here, like John said, to the main. And this line came through here. We put this out, and we put this out, and we put this line in and this line in to connect down to where the main was. I mean, that should have never, and now we should all pick that up from here. Because it's
been 3 years,
private,
so.
I know, it's a private lateral, it carries one bathroom. So I've never seen where the village would take over a private lateral. It goes, it connects where all the sewer flows.
So John, let me just ask you a question.
Okay.
Is this a lateral?
This is a lateral,
Is this a lateral or a main?
that's a main.
Okay, that's a main, according to the DPW supervisor. And one of the things to satisfy that condition in the permit is all the approvals from the DPW supervisor, and he's saying you don't have it. So that condition wasn't met.
Well, but I came back to part of the discussion board, I mean, There's a lateral carries from it, so I don't understand why our other ones aren't made to the beach house.
Eric, this is the approved plan that we wanted the easements over for at least the last 3 years based on the date of this plan. We're not gonna now change it just because you have failed to meet this condition. I think the easier answer for you is to manipulate the footprint of the second phase building, should you get to that point, to accommodate the area that your contractor was off by 5 feet, rather than try to maneuver the main at this point. And so the village can take their easement and you can just proceed. Arguing this point, I think, is gonna be a futile effort for you.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand.
I understand, but John has spoken, I think he's been very clear. We are clear where there is a lateral going north, and it is the village DPW position that the main going to the west, running from that northern lateral, is a main. So that is how we're going to operate from now on, and have been operating throughout this entire process.
I don't see how it can be anything other than main, because laterals don't go into laterals, do they? I mean, I live down here where we're getting a new sewer thing, and I have a lateral. I understand now about laterals. I had to figure out where it was gonna go and all of that good stuff. And it goes directly into the main. And therefore, the main is the main.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lateral.
it doesn't
Wouldn't it
go to
gone
somebody,
diagonal?
my next door neighbor's lateral. It goes into a main.
But laterals can change direction. But that's-
Well, you know what? You already, it also admitted that it's 5 feet off, and 5 feet's an important thing for,
I agree, it's 5 feet up.
okay, so that's part of the problem too, I guess.
You need a 3 foot of a foundation for a lateral. And if the lateral is only servicing one thing, everyone I've talked to says the lateral, if it services an individual unit until it goes into where it meets the sewer, where it carries out, where it intersects all the sewers, that's your lateral. And they said, it's a lateral from here all the way over to here. And I'm having, but again, I understand, John, what you're saying, but it's just, it's a private lateral. I don't think you do any other ones that are laterals.
I can assure you that the village doesn't want any additional unnecessary main to take maintenance on, but that is an invested interest to the village of Lansing, where nobody would want an additional 200 feet onto their own main, onto their own lateral. And like I said before, nobody would drop $5,000 for the structure alone to put it in as a lateral. It's to be village owned and maintained, is why it's not a manhole there.
Okay, so I think we're clear that that condition has not been met. Let's move on to the fixing the manhole. What manhole had to be fixed?
The second bullet, Mike,
Yeah.
that's what we were just talking about.
That middle manhole had to be moved?
Shift sewer manhole in the main.
Proper distance away from the foundation.
So that
So
one
those
has
are
to be
attached,
moved, so
yeah.
that's the same. How about the sidewalks?
The third one is add easement to the property line, and
Where's that?
that's to be sure that the rights were, that if the rights weren't conveyed for BJ's to use this little piece of land between the village easement
Yeah.
and the property line, that we can be sure that it's secured, that they can always maintain their line.
Have you contacted BJ's about an easement?
No,
Meeting.
no, we haven't, because
Because once you sold off to BJ's, that an easement was necessary, if that was always there. Okay,
Fourth bullet, update sewer record drawing to reflect changes on the above items. Obviously, if he relocated the manhole on the other picture, he would have to adjust the easements accordingly.
John, I did ask you one question. We've got some easements which are like 5 feet on one side and 15 feet on the other side. If you want to consider that a main, can we do the same thing here and keep 5 feet on one side and we can shift the building a little bit?
You need about 20 feet, you need about 10 feet for the vehicle that you're excavating with and 10 feet to put the dirt. We didn't have, since he wasn't able to supply us an additional 10 foot on this side and 10 foot on this side, he offset the easement here, so at least we have the same footprint to work with. We're gonna be tied up to the property line, but that's the only piece from this point here to this point here that is offset in the easement, is because of the property line.
And my question is, can we do the same thing here? Can we offset this 5 feet? We still have to move the building and give you 15 feet over here, which gives you the 20 feet you're looking for. If you'd be okay with that, John, we still have stuff we have to deal with.
what people are not seeing here is the contour lines. There's a big wetland swale that comes down through here, and then there's all his from in back of the houses. So there's a berm in between the two conveyance of one of the wetland and the other's conveyance of the property runoff down to this pond. So there's a berm here strategically placed about in this angle right here up through. If we don't really want to shift the easement there, I think
There's room down here, because we have another drawing, there is room down here, it's wider here. The wetland goes like this, in and out, but there is room here, you get 20 feet to move it. I think we give you plenty of room, John, if you could live with that.
We're not gonna make a decision tonight, so why don't we take 2 weeks so we can review
Yeah.
that proposal?
And then the one bullet is re-cement all the record drawings. They adjusted all the frames here up through the asphalt to accommodate the blacktop. And when doing so, it threw all the record drawings on the rim elevations. While he's doing that, we need the record drawings for the as constructed walk. It shows right here in red, as constructed walk. So we need them to go back and resurvey everything and give us topo of all the frames,
I think they have that.
just to make sure that they're correct.
We're talking about
So
the
that's the add as constructed sidewalks to the
Yeah,
record
to the
drawings.
record
John?
drawing.
as constructed walk. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, these are all the shoulders constructed now, I'm not sure, John, this isn't.
No, there's no sidewalk shown on there. What you're seeing is actually the additional 5-foot easement south of the village rights of way. This is the hashing here.
That's a proposed easement.
I'll make sure you have the update, John, I don't think that's the latest.
Okay.
Back to that one bullet, it's the fifth one. The village is the applicant with the New York State DEC. So they have to submit everything correctly, so we can submit to the DEC that this is in place and it's dedicated to the village. So that's part of that one letter that's in there. As constructed storm sewer, there's a storm sewer that runs in between the walk and the edge of pavement that needs to be shown on there, that they had to install to accommodate the walk. And then coordinate completion of all easements, including sidewalk, street, and sewer easements as noted in the survey. So Mike, if you can pan this a little bit more to the east, you'll see a little bit of highway right away.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, got it, perfect.
Highway.
There's easements that need to be obtained in here. See that actually the road is out of,
yeah, that was always,
Right.
Oh.
thanks, Mike.
Can't get it anymore, John.
I got it, you got it.
it's perfect. Is that building the pump house or whatever it's called?
The pump house is built.
Yeah, that's the pump house. The backflow preventer is right here. That's the,
But it's not a drawing either.
it's not, yeah, it's not. It's close to the right,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
close to that easement line.
Okay.
And I'm at the point of this all sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it, whatever. If you want me to keep going, I will.
No, let's talk about the
Yeah, keep
sidewalk.
going, sidewalk.
What's that?
Let's talk about
All
the sidewalk.
sidewalk. Any questions on that? It's basically, Donnie and I went down there today, and Eric says it's something to do with the salt. It's not. It's doing the improper installation. When you do exterior concrete, you get air entrained concrete, and that allows for expansion and contraction during the freeze-thaw cycles. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like they either put air entrainment into it, or they finished it too wetly on top, and it just made it glaze up and just fall right out. There is some good sidewalk there. There's some that need to be replaced.
John and I went through that, I talked to him about that, it's 2 years ago, I understand, and my understanding was when we released everything that we turned that over to you, and you were saying it's not the case, which I understand. We have a firm, I told John, it's a local concrete guy, specials in concrete, he's gonna go back in and replace the sidewalks.
Is there a timeline for that?
Yeah, he says as soon as he can do it is like the second or third week in August.
Are you able to give us their name? Who's doing it?
It's Ernest from for me concrete, I believe. I can get that too.
Okay.
He does a lot of sidewalks around here, so he understands it. And we walked over again, all the surfaces, like right in certain sections, is not on the, once it's not next to roads, it wasn't getting salt on it.
Yeah.
These are the ones that were getting covered with salt, so it is what it is.
Okay. Coordinate and provide all dedication agreements to be approved by the village. I'm pretty sure Messenger, your attorney, and I are, I think I sent them to you, John, a while ago
Yeah,
to
we're
look.
still in the process. It's been a crazy year so far.
Crazy, yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, we can't approve the
No,
easement.
we're not gonna take them. I just want to get the agreement ready to
Okay.
go. Yeah,
The exhibit, either they shift the manhole or shift the easement, one way or another, that's all an exhibit to the easements.
yeah. And Peter and I are happy with the language, just want you to sign off on it too. Widening the roadway entrance and exit radius, that might be beyond our scope at this point, I think.
I don't know what that is.
Can you explain a little bit, John? But I think we're past that
Yeah,
point.
see,
But feel free to come up and
Yeah, tell
show
us.
us what you mean, and tell us what
Tell
you
us.
mean.
It's all part of the site plan.
Okay.
The problem is, it doesn't, the emergency, Mike, if you can just bring up a picture of that on the Google Maps, it'll show you what's going on. The issue is with it, it's too narrow, and it never got put in per plan. Per the site plan, we scaled it off 99. I think he could go to the other map too, what might help. But the radius is only 18 feet wide at the road, it's supposed to be 50. That's for emergency vehicles to ingress and egress. They can't get in there at this point.
John, is this something you just found, but I've been.
No, it's been on the radar, but, I mean,
This is the first week.
street view, bud,
but it makes
if you
sense,
can.
it's too late.
Can you do street view? Should have brought pictures.
Scared of holding to it.
You know, Google Maps might be a little easier than Google View.
He's on the professional version.
So this is a private driveway, I thought we.
Yeah, I think that's what it is,
But even a private driveway still
Where the curb
has,
cuts in for emergency egress on, off of it.
That's a village right away still. You can see anything, see the mud on the road? You're having to cross the center line to make it out of the driveway and still be on the asphalt.
Better try that one. Actually, hold on a second. Do you want to stop sharing, Mike?
well, the road is very narrow, period.
Yeah,
Oh, and it even shows, you know how I kept
Well,
saying
that's why
people
it's a
are
private
parking
drive,
on
it
the
wasn't
green.
built to-
There's often people that are parked, you know, when they
grass.
visit, there's nowhere for them to go. And it's a pretty regular thing, but, yeah, I think.
How's that,
Wasn't
John?
Right there, perfect. See what's going on here? On the site plans, it's supposed to be 50 feet from this point to this point over here.
But was it on the
It's
site?
18.
John?
Huh?
Was it on the site plan? I don't.
Oh, yeah, all on a site plan. The driveway is actually narrower than it was on the site plan too. It had a lot of additional parking spaces in there
I know, John.
that are not
I've
there.
never seen this before, man. You were
This-
saying-
this-
So this is
also-
wide right here, what are you saying?
All the village DPW cares about is this section here to the edge of the right of way line. That's all we care about.
So blacktop where the dirt is, basically?
Yeah.
So like right here to right here.
Yeah.
Once it crosses the sidewalk, don't care.
Because if you look on the oversight, the overview plan, the people have to cross the center line in order to make the swing out. That's why they're cutting it short, because they're not
So you're saying
crossing.
like an apron, John, this spread?
If you look on the original site plan, I think everybody has a copy of it.
None of us picked up on it before.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
Yeah, this is the first.
I've heard.
What has happened, Eric, is you've got your CFCs, your temp CFCs,
Yeah.
with the condition that the site plan is approved by this guy. So we need to step in on the hand about what needs to be done to get that. So that's the.
There's a very wide apron.
That's not,
Yeah.
May not have asked about, or may not have sat down with them, talked to them.
Here you can
okay, I haven't seen that one.
kind of goes out.
Lisa, do you remember which was the entrance and which was the do not enter?
Which way to go in?
Yeah.
I thought, no. But in some ways, I don't know whether we ever discussed whether it's that would keep it away from the main intersection with Trip Hammer. I thought,
Exit, exactly.
that's what I thought, but I don't honestly
Does this have the
remember.
apron thing?
Because
That looks
usually
like
we
it.
try to stay away from the main thing, and I thought it was that, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, this is the one that now has the sign that says, one-way enter here, and the
Yes.
closer to Trip Hammer is one that says do not enter.
Yes.
And is this driveway and exit wide enough, John?
This is the entrance right
Yeah.
now, and it's supposed to be flip-flop to keep the vehicles away from Trip Hammer. So they come down,
Is this
they enter.
wide?
What's that?
Is this one wide enough, though?
They should be both the same on the site plan.
So this one isn't wide
This
enough,
one-
though.
No, both are not correct as on the site plan. And all we care about is this much here to get this emergency vehicle.
Once it crosses the sidewalk to the private drive, it's
Yeah.
private, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we always had that as the entrance. That's the one.
I wouldn't.
I just don't
I wouldn't want to
remember.
testify in point
Yeah, I don't
of law.
remember.
But, I was gonna say, actually, I don't think the traffic is that bad yet, that it matters, but
I don't
probably.
think there's no really inhabitants there.
But I do think that let's say there were some sort of need for emergency vehicles to come in, both entrances should be able to accommodate that regardless. Because obviously, they're gonna go down the wrong way on a one-way
I
street.
didn't realize we didn't have that. It's the first time.
Well, I think John's point is, that's the way it has to be, and Mike's point is that, yeah,
Yeah.
I
for
understand.
safety, I think that's the deciding factor, really.
I talked to Marty a little bit this afternoon, too. He happened to call me, and he said that
I'm sure
that there is a certain
I don't,
law for vehicle access, emergency entrance after 2011, I thought he said. But I don't know when this one is adopted, so.
Okay. Next one, John, provide adequate directional signage for one-way travel with do not enter.
Oh, that's there.
those are there.
Yeah, we have, those got put up December, I think, right around there, yeah.
Yeah,
Whether they're adequate or not is a different story.
I was
but
saying.
They're rather small.
They work,
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as they work, that's fine.
and as long, I've not seen,
They're just flip-flopped.
I'm not sure that it matters,
It's
probably, I
signed
don't
right
know.
now that the entrance is right what you're seeing on the screen right now.
Right, exactly. From my understanding, I remember when this was a big debacle years ago, the entrance was supposed to be up closer to Oak Crest, and supposed to swoop down, and that kept exiting vehicles at line of sight away from the intersection. That was the way I was.
That's what I'm sort of,
Mound right on the east side, there's a mound. where-
that's how I would do it, thinking about it today, but I honestly don't remember that particular discussion, one way or the other.
I don't, and people are used to going this way now. I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have made a,
Not a deal breaker for you, though, I mean.
No,
okay.
And then verify other conditions of site plan approval, landscape fences, buffer shielding. So does this tie into, this also sort of ties into the next condition, which is the finished phase 1 tree planting. Do you want to bring that up, Mike? I'll stop share so you can. I muted you, by the way, Mike, just because your microphone was picking us up.
And don't be shocked if I mute you then.
Okay. Can you zoom in a little bit, Mike?
I have the original.
Which section up in the,
Oh, I guess that's good to start until we want to zoom in on a specific area. So this is, Eric, this is the approved tree planting plan and the ones that are highlighted in yellow are phase 2. The rest of them, I think, are all phase 1, right? So, one of the questions we had before was, or one of the conditions was finish the phase 1 tree planting. You said it was finished. According to this tree planting plan, we don't think that it's finished.
So we have this picture that Michael Scott sent around. It has 3 very tiny plants right here. What plants are these, Eric? What kind of plants are they?
Those are Renaissance bridal wreath spirea.
Which is not what,
Which are not the trees.
which is not what it was called for.
So David Fernandez from Cuyahoga Landscape did all our work. And so I sent him the plan that you're looking at that had to be done. And so David wrote me back, goes, here's, I sent this is the plan you're looking at, right? These are all the trees.
They were supposed to be serviceberry, I think.
These are all the trees that had to be put in, you know, so I said these ones immediately, which are 3 in the end, the one here,
Yeah.
and the other pines. So he did. He submitted all those, and then he says the reason was the landscape, blah, blah, blah. The planting schedule includes listing 3 purple lilacs.
Yeah.
It's Amelanchier, right?
But they're,
I recall a discussion about lilacs. I don't recall where that discussion went, but it did not make the planting plan. I think the discussion of lilacs happened around the time where the woman who bought this property didn't want the trees, and then she did want the trees, but she wanted lilacs.
this is, that might have, we put lilacs, I think they were the lilacs that we put in here, because I sent this to him, and then he wrote back, he goes, Eric, the specification doesn't make sense, since number 2 containers only used to grow smaller shrubs.
But this says, definitely says
Serviceberry.
serviceberry.
And I can't join in
I
on.
don't,
The ball and burlap.
I don't remember serviceberry ever, but I do remember the lilac
Yeah, the
discussion,
lilac,
and that's
yeah.
what I was expecting to go in there. So I didn't even notice what looked like a plant, not a
So,
tree.
but then he said, he went on further, he says, Eric, the number 2 containers only used to grow smaller shrubs. In addition, the specified size, 7 to 8 feet, is not available in nursery trade. We've been in business for over 50 years and never seen them. Another consideration is that the 3 lilacs are specified for the north side of the building where it would be shaded by the roof. It doesn't make sense to plant lilacs in the shade. We therefore substitute 3 spirea Renaissance with the common name bridal wreath spirea. These similarly bloom in the spring and do well in the shade, are also deer resistant. So David, who's done.
Plant them this close to the house.
So, Eric, I went over there to, because I couldn't tell what they were from the road. And so I went and looked at them, and I could tell they were spirea, but they're right on top of it.
And here's what he.
Why he would plant them, would,
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to
no,
me. Why someone would
they
plant
are
that.
not thriving. I have those in my yard, and they need sun,
Yeah.
as much as a lilac does, as a matter of fact. And they're not gonna thrive, and they're gonna go into your building and mold and everything else. It just doesn't make sense.
Dave, I mean, he said, I put him in there for a reason where he did, I mean, he's the expert on it, and that's what.
Except we have an approved planting plan.
Exactly.
Changed without you letting us know.
Any changes to that should come back to the board.
Exactly.
Right, and
That's-
honestly, like, I would never say a lilac is okay in an amelanchier, because a lilac is a shrub and an amelanchier is a tree. So I would never substitute a shrub for a tree, and then substituting a spirea for a lilac. Again, you've now downsized from a thing that's going to be a 15 to 20-foot tree to a thing that's going to be a 4-foot shrub.
As Lisa just suggested, it was the last meeting, and these were added to it.
But I think the point really is that it was just changed without you mentioning it to us. We don't know until now, or last meeting, that you came and said it's spirea, not lilacs. We didn't even think they were there because they're so small. And it's something that, it's sort of like begs the question is, what else have you changed without coming back to us?
That's the only thing, because I tried to get those planted, those last summer.
But do you understand what I'm saying is, you know, what else is there that isn't what we thought?
The plan, I mean, so this is an older plan, we had the phase 1 and phase 2. After that plan happened, like earlier, and we moved forward, fast forward, we give some final approval for this. We did change them out for lilacs, and the plan I have just shows lilacs on here. That's an older plan that we highlighted that was out there, Mike has had for a while.
Yeah, that it's also signed by you. I mean, well, I'll go back and look for the lilac discussions.
Yeah.
I do recall it happening, but either way, then lilacs were agreed to, and I understand that Dave Fernandez didn't suggest it or recommend it, but then you didn't come, what Lisa's saying is, you didn't let us know until.
Could have just sent us a note or anything.
And so then you let us know that Dave didn't want the lilacs there, didn't think they were great there, and you didn't have us run by what Dave suggested instead, right? We could have some input or thought about it, you just,
I just assume Dave does a lot of your plantings.
I understand that, but that's kind of our concern.
Not that we don't trust a landscape professional, however, when the village approved this plan, there were certain things that we were looking for in the plan, and this was the plan that we approved. And if changes to the plan need to be made, then somebody needs to come back and talk to us about the plan changing, and that didn't happen.
No.
I think we go back to this, we did talk about doing the lilacs, that's why I got on this one. This is an older one, and
So-
Dave tried to just, so
I would say that I would testify in the court of law that spireas were never discussed. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And so the point is not what plant, it's that changes that are made need to come back to us in some form. It might have even come from Mike, and he should say, well, let me see if the board cares even. But some sort of communication here, because you're fine about communicating about other stuff that you want.
And the one thing I would say is when you go back to talk to him, in this drawing, what you have is you have 3 tree-sized circles that look like they're planted halfway between the building and that small planting bed that's along the road there. So it looks like there's, there's this planting bed here. So it looks like you have these 3 centered between the building and that planting bed, not smack up against
Yeah.
the building itself.
It's also the location.
It's location, but it's also size, like, we're
Absolutely, yeah.
trying to go fill up that space.
I think there's no
I
question.
don't draw it, if they put them on, that's right against the building, it's, that's all I can say.
Well, and that's what I was alluding to with what the board wanted when we approved it, right? We wanted trees that provide shade in that area. What's there now isn't providing, won't provide shade, because it won't get to the right height as what we previously approved. And they're right up next to the building, so they're not gonna thrive, even, to what they potentially could grow to at a mature size.
Yeah, these were added at the very end, they weren't original plan that we had them the very last, I think, Lisa, you requested.
Well, they weren't there, so yeah, I said, I really would like to see the plan finished.
Yeah, so
Because
again.
they were somehow overlooked.
Well, we talked about the lilacs, I mean, they're on my plan here, they're just not updated. I think we go
Yeah,
back.
as we discussed,
As
it's
we
not about
The
the
lilacs.
lilacs. It's about that the lilacs now changed to spirea without informing the board or asking our input at all. And they also aren't in the position they should be. And it's just another condition that hasn't been met, in my opinion. We do have $1,000 for landscaping. I don't know if we want to dip into that at some point soon.
Okay,
but-
something to think about. I think we've discussed it enough.
I'm just, again, I thought we had planted them under, well, we talked about lilacs, that's what I had my plan, that's what I sent to Dave, so we need to put these in, and he suggested a row here, it's not a good plan.
We understand that, and what Dave said. Our issue is that that wasn't then communicated to the board in a timely fashion at the right time. I understand the issue with lilacs, but that wasn't communicated to us until today, probably maybe a few weeks ago, when everything was starting to unfold with the May 1st deadline.
That's one of the reasons I'd asked if I could have, we used to have the informal meetings to kind of go through these instead of doing it all right here. That's all.
You could have come to us at any time before May 1st to talk about it.
I did, but
No, that's
To
at
the board,
Yep.
at the board level.
I think anything with this project, especially at this point in time after the history with it, needs to be presented in front of the board, not with me, not with council, with all of
And
us here.
as Mike Baker said, that we are discontinuing developers conferences since it took over, so that is why it was not
I
up.
just said that now.
Any other comments you want to make? So we're not voting on anything tonight, we'll do the same thing that we always do, we'll keep a
I
public
guess
hearing
I would just like
open.
to know, Eric, what your suggestion would be for us at this point.
Well, I think, again, on the technical side, I understand that they come back and change the plans out, but I think if we have a discussion, we probably maybe agree that they would be better than the lilacs for there. So, as far as, with the other one, with the sidewalks, it's just gonna take time. I thought we went through that.
And you'll work with John about the sewer main offset easement, if that could be worked.
The sewer is and move that entire line to go down and disrupt the whole thing doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think if we can have the discussion, I understand John needs 20 feet, we've done it elsewhere. I have no trouble giving him 20 feet to work there. I would just ask, the way we sent it over to you a while back, that we move that over 5 feet. And if we have to shift the building 1 or 2 feet to be in compliance, we can, so that can work without digging up and causing more damage out there. So I think all of those would be allowed to work. So I'd ask the board to consider that. You know, I'm not asking to take the 20-foot easement to a smaller number. We'll give the same as we've done elsewhere, they've done elsewhere in the village for other people. I think we can address that. The sidewalk, John and I can address. We've got somebody who's professional to do it. If you want me to plant some more lilacs there to bring that up a little more, we can do that.
You just need to laugh at lilac.
But, you know, I think if we go back and we check, that's what we had talked about. I'm not trying to throw things in. So I think everything is there, the intention is there, maybe the communication is poor. If you want me to come in front of the board to have that discussion, then I will. And we're doing that now. I just didn't want to take the entire board and other people sitting there going through that. But that's the preference of the board, that will do that.
And I think it's important to us, so
It
yeah,
is
I think
important.
that's.
I think all of us need to be informed at the same time, hear the same thing.
So at the same point, you asked me what I'd like to do. I would like to, I mean, there is more housing needed here. You know, our units are full over there. There's other people who'd like to live here. You know, give us the opportunity to build the other units that are there. And I understand it's been a long process, in a lot of different ways, a lot of moving pieces. But I'd ask the board to allow us to finish this. You know, we're pretty close.
Well, I think you have some loose ends here. I think the sewer thing has really got to be resolved.
Well, I think, keep in mind too, the phases of it.
Yes,
The
I was
first
gonna say,
phase
The
that's
first
why,
phase
is almost done.
Almost complete.
that's why I
Those
asked
are the
about
loose
the
ends.
second
The
building.
second
Not yet.
phase
'Cause
hasn't really started,
I
right?
think there's this, yes, exactly.
Mike Scott.
Mike Scott.
What is the progress at this point for phase 2, as far as contractors?
Well, I've got somebody who's interested in the 6th unit, and they want to do their own contractors for it.
So you have a different party that would take over?
Yes.
Take over what?
Just for phase 2? I mean, just those buildings, not your first phase?
That's still to be determined. Might be all of it.
I don't
know what you mean.
understand.
What's that? I have someone interested, I mean,
In buying it?
yeah.
In purchasing the
The
project?
whole project.
Okay, but not,
I see.
Maybe, the
Not
whole-
just
maybe, you said maybe the whole project, maybe just phase 2, yeah, but again, we can't,
Okay.
that's fine.
So that would bring it to completion, so that's why I'm asking the board to allow me to finish this. So we'll be done with it in,
Phase 1, you mean?
Eric, I just have a question. So if you do sell that to whoever your person is you're working with, is it going to still be market rate housing over there, or will that change?
it'll still be what it is. It's 55 and older.
Oh, okay.
That's all part of the PDA.
That can't
It's
change.
PDA, yeah, it's a
So that would-
PDA. It has
that
to
would
remain
have to be,
55 and older.
It'll never change.
But what about,
And it was always expected to be fair market value.
say, as a market rate apartment complex or whatever?
Well, market rate just means they can charge whatever the market will bear, right?
But it wouldn't be like a low-income 55?
No,
Oh,
it was never presented that way. And
Okay.
I don't know whether it actually states that
It's market.
in the PDA.
I'm just thinking of the people that are currently living there and, oh, it's their home, and to have something like that change.
Subsequent, I don't know.
John, did you want to mention something? I thought I saw you put your hand up before.
He asked me about the sewer relocation of the easement. Don, you know, I'll go out there and look at it.
I was just saying, that's, right, so that's it.
yeah, we have 2 weeks now for everyone to.
And that's what you have to have with John, you know, and Don, you're not with us, that's, you know, that's under item E, all items, you know, for John Courtney.
So work with John on that, if you can figure out a way to provide the easement that's needed and move the manhole and shift the building or whatever it is. You know, John,
Will let us know if you've come to an agreement that satisfies what the, you know, standard, that meet the standards for the village. So again, we're not gonna vote on anything tonight, but just to recap, I think, right, if you do look at the things that needed to be completed by May 1st, all items for John Courtney,
sewer and sidewalk,
finish phase 1 tree planting,
it seems like,
those 3, well, close on some of them, none of them were met. So, close, some of them closer than others, but.
Well, this.
But again, we're not gonna make a decision tonight, we'll keep it open for the next meeting too. So we'll make sure that it's on the
So,
agenda for the public.
While we keep it open, he just keeps working,
Work
is
work
that
away, I
correct?
think that's in
have
your best
your-
interest.
At this point, there's a stop work order
Except for items,
for items that need to be completed.
Okay. Great, carry on then.
So when is the next meeting here?
June the 8th, the 9th, something like that.
Oh no, I'm in the wrong one. June,
Is it June 10th?
it's a Monday.
it's the 10th, yeah.
Yeah, the 10th.
8th, 9th.
So it's just shy of 2 weeks.
I'm out of town, can we push this? I've got another meeting. I'm in a different state.
So what do you want to do?
You
Zoom
want to
in?
go to the next meeting?
Then there would be the meeting after that, which is,
Mike Scott is out the next.
I'm not here, whether you can hear or not.
I think it's important to do it at the meeting on the 10th then. If you can zoom in from
Yeah,
wherever
can
you
you
are, that's
zoom in?
perfectly acceptable.
Can you zoom in?
I think I have coverage there.
Okay. Well, work with Mike Scott then, if you don't think you're gonna have coverage for whatever reason, let Mike know, and please don't wait until the day of or the day before the meeting. Yeah,
yeah,
our preference would be to do it on the 10th at the next board meeting, since Mike won't be at the subsequent meeting.
which then would take you into July the 8th.
And honestly,
No, I don't want to
honestly,
let it go that long.
Yeah, this shouldn't keep sliding.
Okay,
The deadline was May 1st, here's the outstanding items, it needs to be resolved one way or the other.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, sir.
And a question, point of order, do we close the public hearing now, or we leave it open till next?
Open, we generally keep them open 2 meetings anyway, sometimes there's exceptions, but there's nothing for us to,
That's
you know, I
true.
think that, yeah.
We always want to allow the public to have,
Yeah.
in case they couldn't come tonight, have another opportunity.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for special permit number 2024-4767. Is it Bauman? Bauman Capital Group is proposing to convert the existing Dix Alta DSW and Best Buy space into a Class A, fully climate-controlled self-storage facility managed by CubeSmart, so I will entertain a motion to open up a public hearing.
I move that we open up the public hearing for, I've lost my agenda, whatever it is.
2024-4767.
Thank you.
There you go. Motion by Lisa, second by Pat, all in favor?
This is Benjamin Marsh. I've been speaking with Ben about the project, along with Casper Ballman. And
Here it is.
you'll see everything that Ben has sent over to me as far as visuals, except for a couple of projected site plan photos, which I'll go back in there. And from my conversations with Ben, it's you think it's storage facility and you think of a certain way. This is a little bit different. This is actually, I'll let you go into it before I keep rambling, but it's kind of a nice aggressive way of doing it. It's a very very nice what he's showing me there. I mean, I'll start showing you the pictures and everything, but it's different. It's nice.
So it's all inside.
I saw pictures that looked like someone was in the parking lot.
This is all indoors.
Almost everything's indoors.
Okay, so that you don't even know when you're standing in front of the building that it's there almost.
So, I mean, the thing about storage facilities is that they're really ugly.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why, okay,
I don't like ugly buildings, this is not,
okay, but I'll let you go, I'm sorry,
so,
we'll let you do that.
storage facilities are ugly, we try to fix it, we do everything we can do to make the buildings look not ugly, just so we sleep well at night, because we also don't like to see ugly buildings. So here, our niche as developers is to take underutilized properties and transform them when there's a need for self-storage. And we look at what the density of self-storage is within any 5-mile radius. We try to make sure, the last thing we want to do is have more underutilized properties, and we don't want to develop underutilized properties. So locally, there is a big need for it. You guys are, it's very interesting. Like, if you go down to Florida, they have way too much self-storage, and it's a disaster. But Ithaca is like, we look generally at like where the community is with respect to 6 square feet of self-storage per capita. And that's a very low estimate for what people use in a region, Ithaca's currently like 3 to 4 square feet per capita. So very, very low availability for self-storage. Okay, so we realize there's a need here in the area within a 5-mile radius. And then the next question is, what type of self-storage exists here for people who want to use it? And there's very little climate-controlled Class A self-storage, really nice places that people can use. And self-storage is an interesting asset class, because if you do it right, it makes people's life more enjoyable in that they have a nice, clean place to put their stuff. It lets small businesses grow. And a lot of small businesses use self-storage as their office space. No one is sleeping in our don't worry. We're working with CubeSmart, so we use national managers for everything we do, and we try to really keep the product as Class A, no, not as Class A as possible, as Class A as can possibly exist. That's from the inside, but then from the outside, we want it to look pretty. So our goal here is to take the existing building and make subtle changes to it to bring it up. And I think here's some pictures of what we're looking at here. So here we have taken CubeSmart's, the idea of CubeSmart, gone right across. And now what's interesting about this site here is how much of it is blocked from the street. So you're not, if I look at this image right here and I think, oh my goodness, this has a lot of red doors on it. The reality is these red doors you can't see from the street. You guys know the area much better than I do, but when you're coming into Ithaca Mall, you're coming, Dick's is this far the opposite, yeah.
Oh, that's Dick's.
That's Dick's.
The closer one would be where Best Buy is.
So this is like.
Not as scary as this picture, that angle
Oh, I'm
was done by our, there we go.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's better. Yeah, it's very subtle, it's all hidden in the back of the mall.
Can you zoom in a little bit on that?
Mike, can you zoom in a little bit on that?
So this is where the Best Buy was.
Oh, so the.
Exactly.
So what you see right there to the right-hand side is Dick's.
That's the Dick's, and then
Far to the left.
on the far end is those other things?
Yep.
So it's called.
Can you pan over, Mike?
Those are contractor based. Those are for, if you're a local carpenter.
Oh,
this-
I
this
see.
lets you you have an office here, which is what we really like about it is whenever we can squeeze in contractor base in the back of our properties, it really triggers a lot of the small business growth in the area, because it gives them a place.
That's the back,
It's like Best Buy parking lot.
Yeah.
that's over there, okay. And the kind
So each of the storefronts are going to be an entrance, is that how it works, or is the?
Yeah, so when you go into these spaces, your goal when you walk into it is to be as close as possible to an exit. If you're the person using, you don't want to go into this maze where you get lost inside, like getting stuck in IKEA. I hate getting stuck in IKEA.
It's also a little creepy if you're, like, my husband has one for storage for his small business. And it's a little creepy because it's usually pretty empty and you don't want to go through a maze of kind of this empty hallway.
So we actually want to have a lot of entrances, and we're going to use existing entrances to keep that going. So that makes it better space for everybody. So this is really it. I mean, we think what we've done here is done minimal changes to the mall front, sort of let it blend in. We don't want it jumping in anyone's face. All of those, we put all of the contractor storage spaces all the way at the end. I mean, we'd love to hear your view on it, and we can make changes. That's the.
So I guess Best Buy is leaving.
So if you take a look at it, right, it's two phases. Phase one is Dick's Alta DSW.
Right, and then I saw.
Phase two is the future phase, right?
Right, if Best Buy
leaves, there's an
leaves.
option there to do it. But in between phase one and phase two, that's an existing loading bay. Would that be used to move
Yeah, so we
equipment in and out, or things in and out of either of the phases?
Exactly, we want it to be a covered loading dock for people. It's really hard in the wintertime to be able to use these spaces without having really nice covered space that you can go into.
Rain, yeah,
So-
when it's raining
When it's raining.
or snowing.
Raining or snowing, right. So that's what that's for. So that'll be convenient in that space
Staffing wise, would there be somebody there
all the time.
all the time, like 24/7 all the time, or like business hours?
And we'll be closed after 10 PM.
Okay,
Okay.
but people could still go anytime they need to get their things, or it's only open, oh, okay.
That's the plan.
So,
My
I mean, the thing about it is, if we leave the facilities open overnight.
No, you're right.
We'll sleep there.
Yeah, you have to have, yeah, you're right.
The contractor bays, I assume if you're kind of addressing that market, the contractors could do the exterior ones anytime they want.
Exactly.
The interior ones, those really open.
There's
while
great
somebody's-
lighting, there's fantastic lighting there. And stuff.
So what's this, and what time do you open?
So the contractor bays, they're gonna be there for them at any time. I think we opened this facility at 6 in the morning, but it could be 5 in the morning.
So on this thing, this is what, those are those, the contractor bays at the far end. Is that phase 2 or is that,
That's phase 2. So
okay, that's, it. That,
contractor bays would be phase 2.
okay,
Phase 1 is stuff inside of Dick's, DSW, and Ulta.
okay, that's what I understood, but I just wanted to be sure, okay.
And the loading dock piece, is that, so that would be phase 1?
That's phase 1.
Yeah.
Is there access from inside the mall?
No,
No.
no, it's a separate space.
Oh, I'd love to be able to see that rendering again.
Did you open the window? Open it? Is that okay? You didn't email us that, did you? No, I was gonna say, I'd share it, but, yeah. So it would be closed off from all the entrances would be closed off from inside the mall?
Yeah.
Unless they're like, I don't know if you need them for like some sort of emergency egress or.
I think everything is,
There's one for Dick's, there's one for DSW, there's one for Alta, and actually, I really think there's only one for storefront,
Yeah, there
on
is,
the interior.
on the exterior, might be.
And actually, on the exterior too, yeah, there's only 3, because DSW never had an entrance, Alta.
No, they had to go in
What are all
through.
these? Aren't these doors?
Yeah.
Those look like.
What,
Aren't these all doors?
what, you're gonna add
Because
doors?
I don't know what that's gotta be inside.
Are you planning to add doors? Yes, no? It seems to me that,
So this rendering, it looks like those contractor bays are way past.
they're all at the end of the parking lot.
Right, in this diagram.
Yeah.
In the diagram where you have a heavy outline showing building 1, 2, and 3, it looks like,
that's phase 2 there.
right, but here it looks like building 3 is basically right at the edge of that loading dock.
Yeah,
And in the rendering, it looks like it's.
way over farther, yeah, like there's space.
Yeah, we should show them probably, there should be, that's 2 rows what you're seeing there,
So maybe there's a third row, okay.
or where that white car is.
Yeah,
Where the pickup?
see, where's,
I see.
it'd probably be like right over.
And where like that lamp post is maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be a row right there.
Okay.
So, so that's the exterior of the building, it looks like you're gonna utilize. So you can utilize the existing entrances that are there for Dick's, Alta, and potentially in the future, Best Buy.
Right.
Would you create any other, in the loading dock, of course, but there would be no, you wouldn't be installing any other entrances there, I mean, maybe, but not.
They all get us pretty equal distance to the different units.
Interior would be, from the interior of the mall, would be closed off to those spaces.
Right.
With phase 1 and phase 2 stuff. I know one of the big things that has been coming up in all the projects that we work on is the new tree law that we implemented, well, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
I forget. And so there's specific provisions in there for parking. In this case, I think there's nothing in front of the buildings where trees could be planted. So I think it would be island trees, things like that. So there's a parking lot tree provision piece of that law.
We have to match what they help as well.
Yeah.
Similar, yeah, same general idea, and there's been discussions about how that law works for commercial businesses and things, but we're not there yet, so.
And I don't know, yeah, but,
I was just gonna say that there are some existing trees that are across over where the stormwater drain is.
Right.
Get some
Right.
benefit from that. As far as parking goes, you're required less with storage, it's obvious, than if you had,
right,
say, a business.
Right.
Or a tile or whatnot, so taking away some of the parking spaces, due to the garage being installed there, I don't see an issue with that. I have not run the numbers. I will do that to make sure there's enough parking availability, but in general, the mall had too much anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
And in this section, you got quite a few parking spots to go with that area, so I'll have that figured out for you.
okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the thing that most people are surprised by, is our new tree law.
It's just a hair over 6 acres, so you're talking about 180 tree units.
100 and what?
180.
Tree units? Okay.
I'll go over that with you.
Yeah, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, and we're looking right now at adjusting our tree logs. We're finding that it's oversized for some properties and undersized for others, so there's some discussion to be had about that.
But I think that every time we go to where we have a nice parking lot design, it just makes everything feel so much better.
Like, are you, and that is a step in the right, you're like, it's,
And,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Make the whole place look nicer, also it'll block the view of a bunch of those units from the street, which is great.
Yeah, and well, the other thing too is, in the, obviously you want the entrance where Dick's is now, and the entrance where Best Buy is, to kind of be this welcoming entrance, but the space between there, between the Dick's entrance and the loading dock, it's just kind of a blank wall. So using some of that space for more trees certainly makes that sidewalk connection a little bit better and softens the facade a little.
it's pretty, I mean, when all those stores were there, it's unsafe too, because it's just,
A lot of cars going flying.
there's nothing to separate anything, and people just go flying across, and that whole loop road it's just dangerous.
Oh, I know it, even, I've been walking the property a lot, and you see people fly down to Best Buy.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be, and so I think, we have an opportunity here to
Change the
really,
pattern.
yeah, exactly.
When we do it, though, we just want to keep in mind the use, that there are going to be a lot of people with U-Haul trucks who don't know how to drive a
Yes,
truck.
and they need to have space, yes.
So we just want to create a driving
Back
pattern,
around, yes.
going in one way and out the other.
listen, I drive a truck and I know how to drive and park it, but boy, I love when you run across a good wide parking spot, I'm like, it's the best. Are there other improvements, just anything, I assume you've done the one, it's kind of a two-part question, other improvements you're thinking about, like doing to?
How
about the parking lot?
We'll improve the lighting, we'll improve, switch everything over to LEDs, there's gonna be,
Dark sky compliant,
yeah.
okay, downward facing, all of
Right,
that.
the whole lighting of that whole space will improve, the outside and the inside. That's the major one, it's a great building, in really good shape, there's no reason to start tearing it apart and doing too much to it.
And what about the parking lot outside? Will you resurface all of that? Because I'm sure since you've been walking the parking lot,
Right.
you can see what bad shape it is, and it's pretty bad over there.
So there's gonna be a lot of work being done there, if you guys decide you want us to resurface it. We hadn't committed to it, but we have budget for it, so.
I think some of it too depends on, I don't know how the maintenance with the mall works, but.
So I think, I'm not positive, I haven't looked at the docs that we have, but I think we're gonna own that whole space.
Yes,
Yeah, it's owned right
you
now, I
own-
just wasn't sure, because it's still a common,
It's subdivision.
yeah, CCR.
It's,
Whatever, remember that?
ECCR.
Yep,
Yep.
ECCR agreement.
you share,
Similar,
you own it, but you share it.
it's similar to an HOA
Yeah,
as far as the parking lot goes.
yeah, only parking lot.
Yeah, just,
But the short answer is, yeah, we want to.
Well, it's pretty bad over
Our goal is
there.
to make it beautiful.
Do you have others that you've done that you can show us some pictures?
Not on,
Or the-
yes.
Can we pull up, I was looking at the website, and I see you just recently did one up in Schenectady, which was an old warehouse building.
Yeah.
Can we
That one,
be able to pull that up on the,
so that one.
if you just go to their company,
But the one, I think the one you were looking at on the website is in Cranston, Rhode Island, which was a munitions factory. And, yeah, that was cool, so, that one is fully occupied right now.
and you would never know that it's a storage facility now.
Yeah, it's really subtle. We have so my partners are, one is from Sweden, the other one's from Russia, they're husband and wife. They're both last name Bowman, that's how we get the name of the Bowman Group. And she is really, like, she loves style and image, and she like has these Italian designer, her good friend who's an Italian designer is doing all this neat stuff, and it's not my thing. I Sheep Farm, I know, like, hey, but her stuff tends to look really nice. So we're really happy to do what we can to make all of this look nice.
Yeah, I think what you're doing to the mall building looks like it'll be a decided improvement over, you know, having empty spaces. I'm a little concerned about the contractor base, because they are very utilitarian looking, and coming from the point of view of someone who has to heat and cool and temperature control those, you're putting basically.
No, you don't, those would not be temperature.
Oh, those are not temperature, okay, so then even more so, you're in a situation where you've plunked these utilitarian, usually steel, I'm assuming, right? Steel buildings in the middle of asphalt. That means that it's gonna be extremely hot in the summer and extremely cold in the winter.
Right.
And is there something that you're considering? Would you consider something that would mediate that?
So one of the nice things you can do with contractor base is to just skim it with some spray foam. And that really takes most of the heat and the cool. So, I mean, that's sort of like classic, every contractor out there, when they're dealing with their units, a couple inches of that gives them. So that's something we could easily do.
And will they be
inside, so
powered?
Yeah, they're all gonna need some power.
Have you considered, you know, solar on top to help offset some of the power that's being used inside the building?
So we're always considering solar. Solar is a really big thing. So, and solar's, it boils down to things like snow load, what's it gonna do in that sort of scenario. We have not run all the numbers on what happens if we put a whole bunch of solar panels on top of it. But in terms of tax incentives, in terms of all that type of stuff, we look at that on every single project, and every place we can put solar on our projects, we do.
Okay, that would be something that we would look at very favorably. In fact, we just passed a solar, or we almost. Almost, so close.
Well, and so one of the other things I would, you know, I would say, you know, if this project moves forward for, you know, in the village for you and for the village too, you had mentioned KU De Med moving in down there, and they've done a great job with the facade of the building and with what they've done in the parking lot. This is another chance to showcase what you can, you know, what could be done in that area, which I think would be beneficial for everybody. And so maybe it's not solar panels on top of the contractor base, maybe it's, you know, there's a ton of things that we've been talking about and are, you know, kind of popping up across the nation, like with trees, maybe some of the trees have to be, you know, offset, and we have ways you can do that through solar, whether that's, you know, a solar canopies over parking space, things like that, that help both solar energy and that thermal mass underneath it in the, you know, in the concrete. So just things to keep in mind is, you know, if it moves forward, it's a great opportunity for everybody. I did pull up one picture though of just kind of a, you know, a facade that is, you know, branded with CubeSmart right off their website. This one's in Rhode Island, so.
Yeah, if you go to the Bauman website, they have all their, their actual, the Bauman Capital Group.
Oh,
Yeah, they have their portfolios on there, that's what sorry, I should have.
I actually have about 20 years' experience developing zero energy buildings, so I'm totally on board with you guys on this stuff. And it's a balancing act. I mean, it's.
And I'm assuming that if you've done other projects in New York State, you're well aware of all the nice sort of,
Yeah.
So we would encourage you to look closely at all the advantages that you have working in the state of New York for taking as much of the load off of the grid.
Absolutely, no, I'm really into it. It's
So
definitely.
if we were to approve this project, when would you start?
It would be this summer.
Oh, this summer, okay.
Brett Cross, do you have any comments as far as stormwater or anything goes?
Yeah, stormwater. Is he there?
He's there, yeah, he's muted.
I see.
Okay, sorry, was on mute there. No, I think that the only question, I don't think there's any technical concerns because the additional or the roofing of the contractor bays would be the equivalent runoff to the asphalt, so there won't be any technical increase in runoff. I would just want to understand better, I guess the part of this I'm not sure that I understand yet, which isn't critical or isn't a critique, is I just don't know what's the relationship of this building to the, is it a tax parcel? Is this subdivided land?
It's a tax-
It's a tax
It's
parcel.
a tax parcel.
This is part of the process that we went through, Brent, with the shops at Ithaca, where they subdivided parcels off. And Hugo Medical bought one, and then Ben's coming along, and I believe you are gonna buy that parcel?
So we're trying to buy it.
Okay.
Closing should be in July.
So it's one of those parcels.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, is I don't think I understand. There was supposedly gonna be a parcel for Dick's and there was gonna be a parcel for Best Buy. I'm not familiar with it being all one parcel to combine.
It isn't yet. No.
Yeah, that was, I know it was quite a while ago, that was one whole parcel. I can send you the subdivision outline, but those 3 units, Dick's, and then there was a center unit which goes back and forth, and then Best Buy, that was all one unit.
So who was gonna own that? Or who does own it?
Well, it was gonna be up for sale, and now Ben says that they are purchasing, or in the process of purchasing that unit.
Okay. And then how that interplays with the ECCR agreement and the stormwater facilities, there was kind of a discussion at the time when the subdivision process went on as to who was, will the ECCR still cover the stormwater management if they buy that out parcel? And I'm sure it is. I'm not casting suggestions that it won't, but it's just, I'd like to revisit that at some point and understand it better so that, if there is that end of the property is probably more critical to what we know as good functioning stormwater. I should say it's important that we make that a good functioning stormwater facility, because we've had some challenges down that end with the water passing through. So just be good to give it a revisit.
No, that's a good thought, Brian, and that ECCR, I believe that the mall is still gonna be responsible for maintaining the parking lot and all of the stormwater infrastructure.
Right.
But we should look at that again, because it's.
Good question, though.
Yeah, and that's what we had referenced earlier when it came to the parking lot, is there's a maintenance agreement that the mall has with, the mall ownership has with all the things that are kind of under that contiguous building there, whether the parcel's owned or, leased from the mall itself, that's worth looking into, if you haven't heard.
I guess I was sort of forgetting that it's just one parcel all the way.
I think it is just one parcel, yeah.
So you're gonna purchase the whole thing, and then Best Buy will continue to rent for a period of time, and then when they vacate, you'll go to phase 2? Is that the plan? Okay,
Great.
Now we get it. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
I knew, but I just didn't
Target,
think,
the movie theater.
yeah, I didn't know whether I was forgetting it was one parcel. I was thinking it was 2, and you were just gonna wait till they moved along, and then, but, okay, got it. Yeah,
That was one, Cayuga Med was one, the old Sears Road was one, the movie theater was one, Target was one.
yeah, I could do
And those all
that.
had the zero lot.
We'd ask is as we look at the different plans, we just think about the flow. I think there's a lot to be gained when you have a storage facility close to eating areas and
Oh, yeah, exactly.
knowing the traffic pattern, trying to make sure that it flows properly is really good to make sure the community grows from it.
Yeah, and then the one thing that, when I was looking at the short seeker, was that, right kind of at that far end, the Best Buy end, just over the temp, they are residential there, so.
Well, there's an out parcel there too,
Yeah.
between at the corner of the Best Buy and
Yeah.
the old Sears parking lot, there's an
Yeah.
out parcel there. Before you get over to residential. I can't imagine it being extraordinarily noisy.
We're really.
No, I was gonna say, they wouldn't be, would they?
What about the construction?
Maybe but I mean,
Once
Contractor thingy.
yeah, what
so you have these contractor bays at other locations.
Yeah.
And you said there was power, I mean, are people going there and doing work there, or are they just,
We put in power sticks with them.
are they doing, building and type work there, and
Are they-
then, or is it really more
All
storage?
day and drilling and.
Light,
No, the guys, usually the contractors show up there at 5 or 6 in the morning, they load their stuff up in their truck. They, go plug in a microwave and have coffee, and 4 or 5 companies will get together and schmooze, and they go on with their morning, so.
No noisier than our DPW guys with their neighbors.
And then it's,
not that we're saying you're noisy, John.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So I brought up a couple, this is the
Yeah.
list that you were referencing, yeah, so there's a couple case studies here about just different, different projects they've done.
So their newest one is, if you keep scrolling down, is up in Schenectady.
Yep, this is the one that's in Boston, and then this is the Schenectady one.
wow.
Is there storage on all the floors in that building? Okay.
So it's a mixed-use kind of thing?
no, that one is, that's the picture of the building adjacent to the lot that, so first we did the lot next door, and now we're looking at doing the building.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But the whole idea is, right, you have these, throughout different areas, you have these buildings.
No.
Yeah.
So like, if you go back to the one in Boston, this one, we're working, like, the city said, we don't want any more self-storage in this part of the city. And we said to them, this is a storage building. You can't do anything else with it. You can't, there's no parking, there's nothing like that. Self-storage doesn't need a lot of parking. And then last week, this whole facade, so we haven't, we're in the middle of acquisition, right? This whole facade collapsed onto the street.
Oh, my God.
120-year-old building. So now the city's calling us saying, get to work on it. So what we're doing with the city is we're working with them. We're saying, look, we know this is a historic building in the area. How do we tie in? We need it to have the self-storage knowledge, but we want to maintain the beautiful bricks. So how do we bring the two together and weave it together to
Where is that in Boston?
it's in South Boston.
Oh, South Boston.
Yeah. The Newmarket area, Hamden Street.
Yes, sort of.
So how did you hone in on the mall? I mean, just from your data, or did you have a connection, or I'm just curious, because there's a lot of empty buildings in Ithaca.
No, it's through connection. We get to know people. Casper and I, just out there meeting people. It could be like a guy who sells locks will call us up and say, I was just at this place and they need, they're looking to sell it, and we'll look at it. But we have 140 different properties that we're going through right now, doing due diligence on, trying to figure out which ones have the right conversion, which ones where the economics work, where we can make it look pretty, where the town wants us to be there, or they don't want us to be there, so.
Well, clearly, I'm biased about this one, but, if I had a storage facility like I used to have one out in Lansing, I'd rather be able to get on and off 13 and drop stuff off there than have to drive through downtown Ithaca to get to anything in that area.
Well, I was gonna say,
Just in general, I mean,
one of
The colleges, it's a
one of the
fantastic.
assets of our mall is the parking and the access. It's a real asset. It's getting more and more of an asset for certain situations. And, yeah,
And not trying to put this into anything, but we are gonna explore everything, like setting up charging stations.
That'd be great too, yeah.
We've got the space to do it, and the need is there, but obviously, we don't wanna put everything out.
well, no, you don't need to yet.
But, when you mentioned the concept of like, where you have those contractor-based other places, that's kind of interesting how they kind of, have their coffee and get together in the morning before they all.
I have to say, I'm a little wary about
That part.
that.
I am too, but
They won't have to worry about it in the wintertime. They won't be gathering outside having their coffee.
I don't know, I know contractors that have storage facilities and they store their stuff and because they just, they're small, they don't have space in their apartment, they don't want to leave it in their truck, they just use a storage facility like one's out in Lansing, and that's where they load their stuff, they get what they need for the day, depending on the job they're working on. I think that concept, though, of, having some other people there and a sort of community with them is something that's important to the village here, too.
Quite frankly, if you had that underneath your covered
Sure, right?
area, and the contractors would pull their trucks into the loading bay, load from there, have their coffee undercover.
I have a sense that a lot of the times they're gonna go over and go to the restaurants that are in there. There's gonna be some restaurant person over
it'll decide to be there.
in the mall who's gonna say, let me open up for the contractors in the morning.
Yeah, and the
There is that
doctors
food
and
truck
stuff
by
start
Crossroads.
really early too.
But that'll, you sort of have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully some restaurants will come, because Ben, I don't know, you've probably
noticed, there aren't very many.
Oh,
I mean, the mall is pretty empty.
I have to tell you that because of my kosher restrictions, I'm not really good at watching which restaurants are open.
Oh.
So it's basically.
Maybe there's a new opportunity for you.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh, there's such a need here. There is a need, a big need, yeah.
Okay, if there's any,
Okay.
yeah, I was gonna say, any other questions from the board? Jim, did you have anything?
No, the only question I have, which is somewhat different, is there some indication that Best Buy is going to be leaving?
Yeah.
So there is an indication that Best Buy is gonna be leaving. They did not renew their lease.
Oh, well, that's a
Oh, there you
bit.
go, that's an indication.
So Ben, when is their lease up?
Would be, and I think it's either the end of, I think it's the end of March of 2025.
Oh,
So if they want to renew the lease and they come to us, we're happy to talk to them. We would move them forward to where Dixon's, because that's a much better retail space in the back. So, but as of right now, they have, you know.
I have another question. There's been a lot of discussion about the inside self-storage, and you talked at the very beginning, what about those external units? What are those, and would they be secured in any way?
So those are those contractor bays we were discussing, yeah.
Yeah, so we make it very secure. People wouldn't be, there would be a fence around it. So to get into that space in the first place, they have to go through a keypad.
The contractor bay area? Okay. Not the rest of it.
fence, oh, so then there'll be a fence that goes around. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't just let people walk into
Okay.
a secured space, and they just have one padlock to get through.
But the rest of the, like, parking lot outside, that would be open. Okay.
Well, I think I look forward to seeing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That includes things like your fences.
Yeah.
What it looks like,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can get feedback on the planting. We'll move right away to get this stuff into your hands, so.
He's your
We
guy.
need to do this.
Mike and I will talk.
We don't have to do it tonight. We can do it
I'll
the
send
next
you an
one.
email tomorrow, a couple of notes I made here, what we'd like to see, and some items I'll get to you.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So,
And, I mean, we're in the middle of working on on modifying the tree, the tree ordinance right now. And we are working, there's a handful of local landscape contractors who are very knowledgeable about the kinds of things that would work in that kind of space. So, my suggestion is, to anybody, is find somebody who's local or regional, who knows the area.
Yeah.
And come forward. I mean, if this was 6 months later, we might have a list, we say, these are the acceptable trees, but because we don't have that yet, finding a local partner who can help guide you, that would be great.
Let's do it at the next,
It's up to you, whatever you guys want to do.
Though we do realize, I think it's a long drive for you to get here, right? So, we do appreciate you coming. We'd love to have you here, but don't feel that you have to be here for every meeting if you
Now
want
that we've
to.
met
You know, now that we've
you.
met you, that's important to us. Feel free to zoom in, if that's more convenient for you.
thanks. So if you don't meet me, I'm sure you'll meet Casper or Olga.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Nice group. And we also, my son goes to Cornell.
Oh, wonderful.
Where at Cornell, though, hang on. Oh, okay, that's fine, too, that's, yeah.
Certainly don't.
You know,
It's not the law school, but I mean,
Cornell may have some use for some storage space.
A lot of use for storage.
Yeah, so college students are difficult. They're good, but they generally only want to rent in the summer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I know that there are just some, I've worked in a couple of different colleges, and I know that they pay rent for storage round the clock, and they just don't have the space to keep things on campus, so actually, it might be a benefit to have you guys come. And
I think that climate control piece, I know that we.
I would say that's.
We store paperwork.
From
off-site,
my
yeah.
age group, the people that I know that are having to sell their big houses and are moving into Kendall or whatever, this is a wonderful thing for them for a year or two, just really deal with that. Yeah.
is this only for businesses, though, not for individuals, right?
No,
Oh, okay, well, I was reading here, and it just says contractors and small businesses.
Oh, that's the contractor bay. That's sort of just talking about the outdoor.
Yeah,
That's,
bays.
Okay.
25 people will put their boats in there also.
Oh,
Good idea.
okay.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. That's right.
Just so you know, I did send this in last week to the county.
Okay.
Great.
Should have-
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get on the road.
Yes.
Right here, like, watch out for Here.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the trustee report.
Not much happened, it was a very quick meeting.
Did anybody cover it?
Pat was in California.
So you didn't zoom in?
Didn't get the link in time.
And you didn't ask anybody to go in your place?
I would have been happy
Well,
to
we have
cover
a-
what to do July.
I was gonna say, hang on, there's a trustee here, and Pat was off.
Two trustees here.
Two trustees here. Pat
Pat
has also offered to take June.
Oh, I was hoping you'd just say July.
Whoa, well, then you won't have July. If you had July before, now you won't. I just shifted everything.
Okay,
So there you go.
oh, okay. So what am I
So
now?
Let's hear the report.
Let's hear, oh yeah, I'm in June then, yeah. So let's hear the trustee report from either of our people who are trustees who are here.
Silence prevails still.
It was a rather short meeting. The minutes were approved, tax levy resolution that allows the treasurer to collect and
That's it.
taxes. Let's see, and there was the town of Lansing letter that the mayor was authorized to sign supporting the town center Greenway Trail in Lansing Greenway. And Carolyn Greenwald is the deputy mayor that drafted that letter. And support for working to extend the trail in various areas of the village, YMCA, Village of Lansing Shopping District, etc. to connect the town and the village. It's an alternative transportation mode and recreation.
That's about it, yeah.
And then just a brief update on the community smart.
Great.
The website is now active, actually.
Yes.
You all got that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I went there before the meeting and it worked, so. Okay, next item is other business. I'll just mention two things quick, and one of them includes a question. So I had passed along the, to Carolyn, and I think Lisa, you were on the email too.
I saw that, yeah.
A note about, she had some questions about a draft of the solar law that I had updated to accommodate the kind of discussion we had at the joint meeting. She had followed up with, Carolyn followed up with me and Lisa with a couple questions, and I think Ronnie too. I had responded, I haven't heard back from her, so I'll follow up with her and just see if there's anything else that, I wanted to do that before I sent anything out to the whole board, but I'll send out, you know, what it was that we sold.
Yeah, so that we
or
have
what we
it.
sold, what we sent.
Yeah, so that we know when she
Yeah.
responds, because I think the only thing she really questioned was the tier one,
Yeah.
the decommissioning is
Decommissioning.
still, but you explained
Yeah,
that it was only the ground mounted.
Yep, yeah, so the way that right, and that was the big thing, was the decommissioning still being kind of burdensome for tier one. The way that I had updated it, though, was decommissioning would really only be required for tier one ground mounted, which really is on farm. Yeah, so that's really the only piece of it, so. And then the tree law updates, I know that we really got through a chunk of it, had a really good discussion at the last meeting. Again, I'll echo what Lorraine said, thank you so much for, you know, having our guest here. I would love to do that more.
Yeah, that was
Even
great.
as we work through whatever the next thing is, just have a, you know, kind of expert in that field come in. I think that was outstanding, but I was curious, I'm looking towards this side of the table, by the way. I was curious, but it doesn't have to be, it can also be over here. If there's somebody who wants to maybe take all the, you know, all the things that we discussed and maybe get them into, and not, you know, not update the, you know, update, or maybe update it, but go and try to kind of consolidate all the ideas that we had for the things and say, here's what we talked about, what do we want to try to update in the tree law? What do we want to maybe save to discuss, you know, in a future revision? I don't know if there's anyone who wants to try to tackle that. I will tackle the rest of the solar law piece, but I was kind of hoping somebody might want to tackle that.
I will decline because I am in the midst of working on the comp plan. So that is my extra for the village homework these days.
Any other takers?
I don't feel qualified enough to do it.
That's my thing, is I mean, I can,
How about this, I will happily we can work together if you want to take the
I would
lead.
work with you, Lorraine.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to have to do it alone. I
No, I
think
was
it would be
say, I
better
think
if
it
was-
takes more, I haven't been taking close enough notes on some of our stuff.
Well, we can go, you know, when we did the solar law stuff, I went back and I rewatched the meeting, because it was,
Yeah, and
that
we've
worked out
been,
really
we've
well
been,
for me. That way I can be part of the actual discussion, and then that's what, yeah, but, so, it's good that there's that.
I mean,
And if not, I can do it, it's just gonna take more time until the solar thing is done. If nobody has the bandwidth for it, I
I
understand.
can try to help too if you want to pay for it.
but
I mean, I don't, but.
I'll help too, but you have to pay for it.
yeah, that's right. We all do.
Well, let's think about it, then we can talk
All right.
about it at the next meeting and see where we are with solar and everything.
Yeah, I will second someone, but I won't take the lead on it.
Think about it, we'll bring it up at the next meeting.
All right.
Patsy Hurley, Sally.
Yeah, he's awful quiet over here.
Okay. Other than that, Jim, anything that you want to bring up or discuss?
No, I just want to be sure, am I still on for June trustee reports? I heard earlier just, you were gonna.
I shifted everything if it works, so Pat would take June, Jim would have July,
Thanks for coming down.
Lisa would have August, if that works, if not, we can trade back around. But Pat offered to take June since May was a bust.
You know, Pat, they'll probably cancel both meetings, you know that. They'll probably cancel both meetings.
Well, then he has to do July.
Does that work for you, Jim, if you're moved down to July?
Yeah, I mean, whatever you decide. I think we're only gonna have one meeting in June anyway.
Okay.
I mean, we can always just do it by Zoom. I mean, it's.
Oh, wait, was one of them a holiday?
Maybe
Yeah.
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth's on a
One's, I
Wednesday.
think, Juneteenth.
It's on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So wait a minute, so you're June, he's July, and now
You would be
I am
August.
August.
So when am I now?
October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well.
And if we need to trade later on, we can.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna be away part of that.
I would be too,
It
but I
doesn't
can.
matter.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about it, I could just.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope, I guess I'm on for July.
Yumila? Okay. Lisa?
I gotta come up with something. No, I don't. It's just so that, we're just gonna hold on until we have one more public hearing.
Yeah, we need to just, I mean, it is
guess-
tough to, you need to think about what you want to do, because it's difficult to have a resolution prepared when the public hearing is still open. 'Cause we
Right.
don't want to come to a foregone conclusion.
No.
So.
Can we draft two resolutions, one?
I mean, if it's gonna be a straight denial, not denial, what would the
What
not
would the not
denial
denial be, yeah,
look like?
right.
Would it be an extension?
I
Would it
don't
be
think
a
we should even go through that. I think we should just finish the public hearing as we're going to, and we'll see.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
then-
So I will
is there
not
any
prepare a
particular rush?
resolution
She's
for
just continuing on.
So we'll just
So I think-
not prepare a resolution for next meeting, we'll
Right.
just continue the public hearing. I do think, hopefully, him and John can have a productive discussion about the sewer easement, because I think that is the biggest.
I was
thing.
gonna say, I'm really concerned about that, because that seems to be,
I mean, worst case scenario,
I
he
mean,
moves the building. John
that's
says,
right.
no, this is what it has to be.
Well, and he
Move
even
the
seems
building.
somewhat,
He seems open to it.
I think he did seem open to, yeah, so, but again, that's, right,
Well,
John's the expert in that one.
I was
That's
gonna
the
say,
condition.
it's just troubling, because certain things changed, hasn't been communicated. It's just, the trees are just a tip of the iceberg, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of things like that, who the heck knows? So, yeah, I think we.
Well, and as far as, widening the road, well, it might not have been brought up, I mean, it was on the approved site plan, you can see, I saw it on the site plan, and it's
Yeah.
Eric's responsibility to meet meet
Yeah.
the design of the site plan.
Yeah,
And quite frankly, the road is
too skinny.
way,
Anyway, yeah, well, and that was the discussion, there's no way we were ever gonna take that road, the way, I mean.
yeah, it's
So, yeah.
in order to be safe. I mean, you don't.
No,
you
it
don't-
is, and to have, yeah, so, yeah, okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to be sure.
So, yeah,
I
no
don't
resolution at the next meeting, then we'll close the
Okay.
public comment period, and then, if we do decide what we want to do at the next meeting, we can
Then
have a
we can-
resolution prepared, and at the next meeting, you won't be there, but we don't have to have Mike there for.
One of the reasons I wanted,
I have a question. What's the
What is the advantage to not having a prepared resolution?
Because then I can integrate everything that is discussed in the public hearing to make a fruitful resolution with findings.
Right, what's gonna happen between now and the next meeting that could be brought up by Jim and John? Maybe maybe they come up with some solution and we,
Right.
I won't be here either on the 24th,
the last one, and can you?
but I can zoom in, it's just,
Any
okay,
resolution would be circulated for review and input
right, okay.
prior to.
Yeah, if it was a straight denial, I don't think there would be any issue with getting a resolution ready for that.
But I also
But
don't
who
want
knows
to
what'll
come in
happen.
with just I would rather close the
Yeah.
public hearing, then you can have a discussion about what you want to.
Yeah, that's what
And
I.
we can prepare a
And then I
resolution
can
according to
prepare a
that.
resolution according to that.
I would just be concerned that if we close the public hearing, and then we push off a decision till 2 weeks later, there might be some other petition that comes forward in that period of time, whether it's all, he can or not, he might bring to them, oh, well, I scrambled and did this, so now.
Too late, it doesn't matter.
I mean, the public
Too late,
hearing
or
will be
maybe-
closed and.
Or maybe we take
maybe
it under,
Kurt, you scrambled and did
yeah,
something.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I mean, right now, all he can, right now, while we're having this discussion, all he can work on
It's
is
the
the
things that
remaining
he did
items from
to
phase
it
one.
anyway.
Right.
and that's what we
And
want
phase
right now.
one will stay put. We cannot
Right.
and will not revoke the special permit for phase one. So all he can work on now is
phase one, yeah.
And that's important, because then we can
Yeah.
move on about phase two and maybe.
Your decision may change or not, depending on how he handles these next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
That's true, too. You're right.
I think whatever interest he has is motivating. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have to say, the longer we delay a decision, the more I feel like there's going to be a way to squirm out of the obligations.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way, trust me.
Yeah, I would, how about this, I would feel more comfortable if we had a denial in our back pocket that we could action on if that's the case. And if it turns out that there's a lot of stuff that's gotten done and we're not going to deny, then we just put it off till the next week.
What do you think of that? Yeah, is that okay? I mean, again, I would just ask everyone to keep an open mind for anything.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
now and then.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree with you, I mean.
No,
if-
that makes sense.
Because
So
I
a
will say.
denial would be, just for clarity, a revocation of the special permit as
For
to
phase
phase
Two,
two.
yes, that's exactly,
Yeah, so let's do that, and I agree with you. If he's done nothing between now and the next meeting,
It would be difficult
it
to,
would be difficult to discuss
Anything.
and, yeah,
giving him, more leeway.
right. And if he does other stuff, then we say, great, then come back next week and we'll have a resolution prepared, or 2 weeks later.
Not to jump over everybody, but while I still have Brent. Hey, Brent? For that site and the SWIP for that site, at this point, we're on basically winter notification, aren't we, with that? Because everything is pretty much stable. What is he going to need to do to close that SWIP for that project for, let's say, just for phase one, without even thinking about phase two? And besides that, I know we still have to have a stormwater maintenance agreement. That needs to be part of whatever we decide to do.
Well, I think the answer to that is that how was the NOI drafted by them many, many years ago that got submitted and is currently under DEC approval? You know, I don't know that it had any phasing to it at all. So I'm not sure that there's any flexibility there. It may be that he can't close out that stormwater permit until he completes phase two of the project.
Okay, I'll look that up and get some stuff over to you and
Okay.
have you come up with some conclusions, if you would, please.
I mean, we might be, if there's some kind of clear language that there's not a way to phase it, I don't know if there's some way that, or it seems like maybe there would be an opportunity if he wanted, if there was some reason for us to split it up, that he could submit a revision to the NOI. I gotta believe that wouldn't be the first time in the history that somebody's needed to change a project phasing at the DEC level, so we can take a look at that. I'm glad you asked, because I guess I wasn't sure. Well, I guess the question would be is if it is all one project, what would be the downside of just keeping it open until he eventually finishes phase 2?
I just wanted to get some, I guess, different, depending on what the board plans on doing, I just wanted to have some different options there.
Yep, we can look at that.
Sorry, Larry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
No, we were going.
Oh, no, I didn't have anything.
What else, Mike?
Say, you know,
I don't have any complaints tonight.
the only thing I,
Tonight.
She's losing it.
the only thing I have is, I was contacted by the Taco Bell contractors, and had a discussion, they're looking at possibility of 2 or 3 variances that will be needed. So, as I was thinking, I mean, we've had this before, where we've had them work simultaneously with the planning board. Because it's a large sum of money for them to come in front of the planning board, I said, well, let's get me the variance stuff and take a look at it. So I called, it just showed up today, I haven't had a chance to look at it, what it is. I know it has something to do with the front yard setback, has something to do with signs, which we knew there was gonna be something with signs. So I spoke with Lynn Leopold, and she's all for, listening to it and seeing what's going on. Maybe we can coordinate like we normally do. But I hate to see them come to the planning board, and it's just a no way.
Yeah.
No, it does make sense to do that
How many
always.
CBA members do we have?
5, we haven't met since March of '23.
You're
I know.
joking. Really?
You want that too?
Yeah,
We have a new member that hadn't even seen them.
I don't even know.
This is hysterical.
Wait till they have to approve minutes from March of 2023.
Oh, you don't, yeah, how do you do that?
23.
Wow, over a year. How do you,
It must
you're
have
not
been
gonna
there.
remember what went on.
I know.
They were posted, everything was done, they're posted.
Oh,
There's not approved.
They're just drafts still, because they haven't been approved.
You can't send them around and approve them electronically? You can't do it?
no,
Oh, is that for SD Drive for Nushi that we had to meet?
that is
2023?
so funny. I chose the wrong.
I don't even.
Mike doesn't even know what it was either.
Well, if you want to come
question.
down some of your work, you can always just join
So there I
PCA.
go.
And I think, speaking of Nushin, I think you will see her back. They did get a survey of your tree units.
Who is this?
That was
Way over,
Who
right?
is this? Nushi? Oh, down, okay.
So I'll try to get her in here as soon as we can, see if we can get that special permit. When I can.
Great.
Natalie?
Oh, I said my stuff about Eric.
Okay, that's it? Nothing else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:54 PM.
I move that we adjourn.
Motion by Lisa,
Second?
second by Lorraine, all in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, have a good night, everybody, see you at the next meeting.
My phone ringing there.